Jake had always loved the lively atmosphere of his bar, a cozy spot nestled in the heart of the city. With its low-hanging lights and worn wooden counters, it drew in a mix of regulars and new faces every night. Jake was more than just a bartender. He was a storyteller and confidant. With his sharp wit and warm smile, he made everyone feel welcome, pouring drinks while listening to their tales. Every evening, the bar buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and snippets of conversations that floated through the air. But behind the fun, Jake had a unique skill. He noticed everything. From the way a customer's voice changed when they spoke about sensitive topics to the hidden glances exchanged between strangers at the bar, Jake could sense when something was off. It was during one of these ordinary nights that Jake first overheard something troubling. Seated at the back corner were two men talking quietly but urgently. Their words hinted at dangerous deals and threats. Worry crept into Jake's mind as he began to realize that not all customers were there for a good time. Some had secrets that could change everything. Little did he know that his knowledge would soon make him a target in a world he hadn't imagined existed. As Jake continued his shifts behind the bar, he couldn't shake off the unease that had settled in since that fateful night. The lively chatter and laughter felt different now, almost like a mask hiding something sinister. Each clink of a glass or burst of laughter seemed to echo with hidden meanings. He found himself paying closer attention to the conversations swirling around him. One evening, he noticed a group of regulars huddled together in a corner, speaking in hushed tones. Their usual carefree demeanor was replaced by tension, and Jake could see the glances they exchanged were laced with worry. It was then he realized that secrets weren't just whispered. They were lived. The bar, once a sanctuary, felt like a stage for something darker unfolding right under his nose. Fueled by curiosity and concern, Jake began to gather small pieces of information. He learned about the strange comings and goings of certain patrons, people who would arrive late at night and leave before dawn, their faces shadowed and anxious. The more he observed, the more he understood that the bar was not just a place for drinks. It was a crossroads for dangerous lives intersecting in the dark. Jake's heart raced as he realized these secrets weren't just stories. They were threats that could soon reach him. As Jake continued to observe the unsettling dynamics in his bar, he couldn't shake the feeling that something much larger was at play. He began to notice a particular group of men who frequented the establishment, always sitting together in a dimly lit booth at the back. They were sharply dressed, with an air of confidence that felt intimidating. The laughter and camaraderie they shared seemed forced, almost like a performance hiding their true nature. Jake soon learned through whispered conversations that these men were part of a notorious lawless group operating in the city. Their reputation preceded them, known for their involvement in illegal activities ranging from smuggling to extortion. The more he gathered from the whispers of other patrons, the clearer it became that this group had ties to violence and intimidation, making them feared by many. With each passing night, Jake felt the weight of their presence pressing down on him. Conversations about large sums of money and hushed threats echoed in his mind. Concerned for his own safety, he realized that being aware of their secrets might have placed him directly in their sights. The bar wasn't just a place for drinks anymore. It had become a dangerous realm where danger lurked behind every smile and glass raised in toast. One fateful evening, as Jake wiped down the bar and prepared for the night's crowd, he felt an unsettling tension in the air. The lawless group was there, laughing a little too loudly and drawing attention to themselves. Just as he thought he could manage the situation, one of the men from their table approached him, a sly smile plastered on his face. "Hey, Jake," the man said smoothly, leaning closer. "You've got a good ear for conversations. Just remember, some things are better left unheard." His eyes glinted with a mix of charm and menace that sent chills down Jake's spine. The warning was clear. They knew he had been listening, and they were not pleased. Jake forced a smile and nodded, trying to maintain his composure. As the man walked away, Jake's heart raced. This was no idle threat. It was a stark reminder of how precarious his position had become. He realized that being aware of their secrets could jeopardize not only his job but also his life. With fear gnawing at him, Jake knew he had to tread carefully. He couldn't simply forget what he had heard. Now he had to decide whether to stay silent or take action before it was too late. Days turned into a blur for Jake as he navigated the bar with a growing sense of dread. Every laugh and every clink of glass felt like a reminder of the danger that lingered in the shadows. Paranoia settled in, gnawing at him during his shifts. He found it increasingly difficult to focus on serving drinks. Instead, he analyzed every interaction around him, trying to read the unspoken codes between customers. His mind raced with worst-case scenarios. What if someone had seen him observing their conversations? What if they decided to silence him for good? Each time a regular arrived, Jake's heart would skip. He couldn't help but wonder if they were allies or potential threats. The familiar faces began to morph into strangers, and he questioned the intentions of everyone who entered his bar. To cope, Jake started arriving early and leaving late, hoping to avoid any unnecessary encounters with the Lawless group. His nights were filled with restless thoughts and sleepless hours. At home, every creak of the floorboards and rustle outside sent him into a panic. The bar, once a place of joy, had become a battleground for his peace of mind, and he knew he could no longer remain passive in this dangerous game. Feeling overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty, Jake realized he needed help. He had always been a solitary figure, tackling problems on his own, but the weight of this threat felt too heavy to bear alone. The idea of reaching out to someone gnawed at him, but he knew he had to take the risk. The first person who came to mind was Maria, a close friend who worked as a police officer. They had known each other for years, and Jake trusted her instincts. Despite his apprehension, he decided to find a moment to speak with her. He arranged to meet Maria after her shift outside the bar, hoping that the quiet night would provide the right setting for their serious conversation. When they met, Jake's heart raced as he laid bare his fears about the Lawless group and the warning he had received. Maria listened intently, her expression shifting from concern to determination as she grasped the gravity of the situation. She assured him that he wasn't alone in this and that she would do everything she could to help him stay safe. With Maria's support, Jake felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. He knew that facing this threat required courage, and perhaps with a friend by his side, he could find a way to confront the danger head-on. With Maria's encouragement fresh in his mind, Jake felt a newfound determination stir within him. He knew that simply waiting for the danger to come would only lead to his downfall. It was time to take action. He began devising a plan to gather more evidence against the Lawless group, hoping that if he could expose them, he might secure his safety and help the police bring them down. Jake started by discreetly documenting their activities, noting the times they arrived and the conversations he overheard. He would write everything down in a small notebook he kept hidden beneath the bar counter. Each entry felt like a small victory, a step toward reclaiming control over his life. However, he also knew that this was risky. If the group discovered what he was doing, it could have dire consequences. To mitigate the danger, Jake shared his plan with Maria, who advised him on how to proceed safely. She suggested that he keep her updated regularly and act as if nothing had changed in his routine. As Jake moved forward with his plan, a mix of fear and adrenaline coursed through him. He was finally ready to stand up for himself, knowing that the stakes were high but believing that taking action was the only way to regain his peace of mind. As Jake settled into his new role as a reluctant investigator, he approached each day with a careful strategy. Armed with his small notebook, he began to observe the Lawless group more closely, noting not only their arrivals and departures but also their discussions. He found a routine. During busy hours, he would engage with other patrons while subtly keeping an ear on the group's conversations, blending in while gathering crucial information. One evening, his effort paid off when he overheard snippets of a meeting planning an illicit deal. They mentioned a location and time details that set off alarm bells in his mind. Jake quickly scribbled everything down, feeling adrenaline course through him. The realization that he was inching closer to exposing their activities fueled his resolve. With each new piece of evidence collected, Jake felt both empowered and terrified. He carefully stored the notebook in a hidden spot at the bar, knowing its contents could either save him or put him in even greater danger. Jake remained committed to appearing unbothered by their presence, while inside, every shadow seemed to echo threats. With Maria's support at the forefront of his mind, he prepared to share this newfound information with her, hoping it would help take down the criminals once and for all. Jake's heart raced as he approached what felt like a pivotal moment. One evening, while serving drinks, he noticed that the Lawless group was particularly agitated, whispering among themselves and occasionally glancing toward the entrance. Something significant was about to happen. Fueled by a mixture of anxiety and determination, Jake positioned himself closer, pretending to busy himself with other patrons while keeping his senses sharp. As the night wore on, the atmosphere shifted. The group finally settled down and began discussing their plans more openly, confident that no one was eavesdropping. Jake's hands trembled slightly as he pulled out his notebook to record their words. They mentioned not only the location for their illicit deal but also hinted at a rival gang that could soon be in conflict with them. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted the conversation. A bar stool had toppled over, and in the chaos, Jake's notebook slipped from his hand and landed on the floor. Time seemed to freeze as everyone turned to stare at him. Panic surged through him as he quickly bent down to retrieve his notes. This abrupt moment exposed him more than he anticipated. Had they seen what he was writing? The realization that he was now more visible than ever ignited both fear and adrenaline within him. There was no turning back now. The tension in the bar reached a breaking point as Jake's heart pounded in his chest. The Lawless group, now suspicious of his presence, shifted their gaze towards him with narrowed eyes. He knew covering up his fear was no longer an option. They had noticed him documenting their activities. Just then, one of the men stood up and approached Jake, a menacing grin spreading across his face. "Looks like you've been quite interested in our business," he said in a low voice, threateningly casual. The air grew heavy with tension as patrons became aware that something was wrong. Whispers filled the room, and conversations halted. Jake took a deep breath, reminding himself of Maria's support and the importance of standing his ground. "I'm just doing my job," he replied, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. But before he could say another word, the man leaned closer and whispered, "You don't belong here, Bartender." In that moment, Jake's resolve solidified. He realized that this confrontation was inevitable. It was either fight or flight. Just as he prepared to respond, Maria walked through the bar's entrance with a determined look on her face, flanked by officers ready to take action. Jake felt a surge of hope. This showdown was about to change everything. As the police moved in, the atmosphere in the bar shifted from one of tension to chaos. Officers quickly apprehended members of the Lawless group, handcuffing them while others secured the surrounding area. Jake watched, a mix of relief and disbelief washing over him. The nightmare he had endured for so long was finally beginning to unravel. Maria stepped beside him, her expression a blend of pride and concern. "You did great, Jake," she said, her voice steady. "But it's not over yet." As the last of the suspects were taken out, Jake realized that even though they were caught, the repercussions of this confrontation would ripple through his life. In the days that followed, news of the arrests spread quickly, and Jake experienced both gratitude and fear. While many regulars praised his bravery for helping bring down a dangerous group, shadows of doubt lingered. He received unsettling messages from unknown numbers, threats laced with dark promises of retribution. Despite this, Jake decided not to hide from fear. Instead, he embraced his new role in the community as someone who stood up against crime. With Maria's continued support and encouragement, he committed to rebuilding his sense of safety and ensuring that no one else would have to endure what he had faced. The battle wasn't over, but he was ready to face whatever came next. In the weeks that followed the showdown, Jake found himself reflecting on his journey. The bar, once a place of joy, had transformed into a battleground for survival and courage. He realized that this experience had changed him in ways he never anticipated. With Maria by his side, he began to see the importance of community safety and support more clearly than ever. Jake started organizing community meetings at the bar, inviting locals to discuss safety and crime prevention. His role as a bartender evolved into that of a community leader, someone who encouraged others to speak out against wrongdoing. The same laughter that once masked danger now echoed with newfound camaraderie and shared purpose. While the remnants of fear still lingered, Jake was determined to turn his past struggles into a source of strength. He worked closely with Maria and local law enforcement to establish initiatives aimed at empowering citizens and deterring crime. As he looked around at familiar faces engaged in meaningful conversations, Jake felt a sense of fulfillment. The battle was not necessarily over, yet he had taken control of his narrative. He was no longer just a bartender. He was an advocate for change, ready to inspire hope and resilience in his community.